All right, Cap. So this week from Lay Vampire, you pulled That Death Will Come, Mortal, Finite, and Fragile. And then from Chakra Wisdom, you pulled Gratitude. Amazing. Your readings always seem to be so deep for me. And already it's starting out that way. So now that death will come, the blessing. Knowing that we have one lifetime at a time to make changes, learn lessons, and move closer to the true purpose of our soul is a blessing. Knowing that each lifetime must not be wasted and is precious is a gift that compels us to lead lives of meaning. Working with this card says it is time to honestly create meaning in each day and to choose to make the very best of the time that you have. Every day is a gift. Make it count. Now with gratitude, basically it's saying life is too short not to be grateful for the things that you have and the people that you have in your life. Gratitude, the inspiration says that gratitude rises our vibration to a higher level. If you are unhappy in any relationship, this card reminds you that it is always within your power to change it. There is no mystery to being a good person. Good people just do good things. And I've always said when it comes to Capricorn, especially my Capricorns, you guys always do the right thing coming out. It doesn't matter what is happening in your life, you always do the right thing. Now, the personal question says, who is the person I admire most? Why? How can I live at that level? The key ideas are friendship, deep love, pregnancy, nurturing, unconditional love towards self and others. So there again comes into play here, the story behind the card. This woman is writing a letter to her best friend's unborn baby, letting that child know how grateful she is to have both of them in her life. All right, Cap, here we go. Here's the energy coming through. Jeez, Judgment. Okay, so now Judgment. I always feel iffy about that card, but that's just me. Right? It is about the review, needing to make amends for the past and moving forward. It is also about hearing your calling and taking action toward that. Now, the other thing with Judgment too is that you have to be careful about the judgments that you're passing on situations or people. And you certainly should never be afraid of the judgment of others, because truly the only judgment we'll ever face is our own. But this is about rebirth. This, just as much as death, is the phoenix rising from the ashes. Both of them are portrayed that way. So for a lot of you, you may be getting a second chance with something here, especially with the Wheel of Fortune showing up. Now in the past, the Eight of Coins, you've been busting your ass. And that doesn't surprise me with Capricorn, so working pretty hard here. So for some of you, this may have to do with a job, finances, and it doesn't look bad. That to me, as the past still coming through, is saying that you're willing to put in the effort that's necessary. And in the present, the Page of Wands. Now, for some of you, you may be getting some exciting news. I like the Page of Wands. It is talking about going after something that you feel is bigger than yourself. That's why there's a little bit of hesitation when it talks about, taking the new path. Now, with the Page of Wands, though, again, it's like hearing something that sounds really good. That's going to bring up some excitement and passion within you. And again, life is too short not to follow your passion. But for a lot of you, this is going to be a message of doing something new here, especially with Judgment and the Wheel of Fortune showing up. Wow. Future conditions, strength. My goodness. Strength is beautiful. It's beautiful to have. It's saying that you have the strength and the courage to deal with whatever is in your path, but you're going to have to pull on your reserves here. Especially if you're jumping from one thing that you've been working on for a really long time and moving into something that sounds really good. It's one thing to hear something that is like, oh, that sounds really great. I want to do this, and actually seeing it play out. So I kind of get the feeling that for some of you, yeah, it sounds really good, but are you willing to make that move? And that may be where strength is coming in here. But again, with Judgment and the Wheel of Fortune, it's like the timing is right for you to start doing something new. You're still willing to put in the effort here, but I feel like there's movement here between the two. Your best path to follow, the Ace of Swords, think clearly. Knowing the truth, speaking the truth, seeing the truth, and having absolute mental clarity, which is fantastic. So you want to be absolutely clear on what judgments you're making. But you also want to be clear on the road ahead, which is where, the Page of Wands, Judgment, and the Wheel of Fortune is coming through. I feel like with the Ace of Swords being there, basically it's saying that you need to think logically about the decisions that you're making. And I don't know, I feel like an emotional thing coming up here. Like, you need to be careful about letting emotional thoughts cloud, your judgment, right? And needing to think clearly. In your environment, the Ten of Cups, there you go. Here's where the emotions start to play in. This is about your own happiness. Your own absolute emotional fulfillment. And I have to wonder here if, you're really happy with what you're doing. Because the Eight of Coins is, you busting your ass. Now, maybe this is something that you've been doing that, you can turn into something new here with the Page of Wands. So it kind of feels like this is something you've been working at, but now you're hearing some really good news. Well, how do I apply that and move forward? Because I'm looking at Judgment and I'm looking at the Eight of Coins and feeling like this is something that you were meant to do in the first place. But you've been putting a lot of time and effort into it, but now it's taking like a new turn here with the Page of Wands. But it is about what makes you happy, where your emotional fulfillment lies. And that being in your environment with the Page of Wands, again, it sounds really good, really good. And you may have a lot of happiness with what you're doing here, but, there needs to be strength to move into, the new phase, right? Wow, Cap, wow. But I do like I do like seeing how it's connected here and here. Either way, it doesn't look bad, but I'm still wondering why there needs to be strength in moving forward, Okay, your hopes and your fears, the Ten of Wands. So here's the thing, if you've been busting your ass doing something, and there may be something new that's happening here with the Page of Wands. Like if you're working on a project, let's say, and this is something that you're doing for you, but it has the potential to have like, the financial gain, right? The Page of Wands almost has a feeling of like recognition being picked up and a new path being presented with what you've been working toward. But the problem is that, this is it's like it's your baby. It's your baby, right? It makes you feel good. It is where your happiness lies. It's what you want to continue doing. But are you going to be overwhelmed with the new changes that may be presented? But again, it's a part of a bigger plan here with Judgment and the Wheel of Fortune. But again, there's a need here for you to pull on the strength reserve. In dealing with things with, patience and grace. But I'm looking at that Ten of Wands and I'm feeling like, that may be the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, right? It may be just one too many. It's not a bad thing, but I feel like, for you, it may feel like extremely overwhelming. But there's still a lot of happiness tied into it. And the tens. And then the Wheel of Fortune showing up. And then you've got Judgment there. Man. But again, right? Like if you have new, fresh ideas too, which is where the Ace of Swords is coming in, now is the time to apply it. But especially to, what you've been working toward. Because it has that feeling of this is my baby. This is what's important to me. Right? Like it's time to start applying that, but you don't want to get overwhelmed though either. Damn, Cap, I'm telling you, your readings get deep with me. Oh, look at it. Look at it. So the Three of Wands. So yeah, Here you start taking the action, but you're waiting to see how things are going to develop. And that may be where, the worry is coming in with the Ten of Wands. And that may be the overwhelming part, is waiting to see. Let me clarify that. Yeah, you're going to be fine. You're going to be just fine. Hell yeah, look at that. If that's not perfect for you guys, I mean, seriously. The Queen of Coins. So yeah, you're going to be okay. You just need to have strength through this during the waiting period. Now, on the other hand, too, with the Page of Swords being there, my big thing when I see this is I tell people this, especially when it comes to like signing contracts and things like that. You need to be like really paying attention to all the fine print before you decide to sign anything. Make sure you're asking questions too, especially if you're being offered a chance to work with a third party, right? Looking at the Three of Wands, because it is talking about enterprising as well. But with the Queen of Coins, you come out fine. You come out perfect. Financially stable and secure. So either way, Cap, you're going to be okay. It's just that that's where strength is coming in. With that Eight of Swords and the Page. And, for once, the Page does not feel like a bad thing. But again, life is too short. Life is too short not to, make the most of what makes you happy, right? All right, we're going to take a look at the soul trees to see what other messages there are for you guys. My goodness, Cap. The beginning, earth, and change. Very nice, very nice. The beginning of something that's going to change what you've been doing. But earth is talking about you needing to get a little bit more grounded. When that card shows up, it's telling you that now is the time to go outside and connect with the earth, the trees. It's a beautiful place to go out and meditate and get some mental clarity, right? And get a little bit more grounded. Especially if things are going to be changing with what you've been working with. Because this to me is where your heart is, right? It's what makes you happy. But it's the beginning of a change within it. But you need to be a little bit more connected. And earth, the Queen of Coins, I think you're going to be fine, right? And again, you guys always do the right thing coming out. But you don't want to be trapped. You don't want to be trapped mentally, No matter what is going on, I feel like you're going to be fine. I'm not seeing anything bad here at all. That Page of Swords doesn't even feel that bad. But you need to get a little bit more grounded and get a little bit more clarity before you make any final decisions, though, too. All right, guys, we're going to take a look at Whispers of Love to see what messages we can get for you guys as far as attracting love into your life. Actions speak loudly. Express love through your actions. Absolutely. So when it comes to a relationship, apart from what you're doing here, make sure that you slow down and spend some time within the relationship. And slow yourself down too. And that may be where earth is coming in. You needing to tap into that earthy part of yourself and get a little bit more grounded. But actions speak loudly. You definitely have to express your love through your actions. But Cap, I think you're fine. I think you're fine. For those of you who are working on, a creative project here, I feel like that's your baby. It's important to you. There may be a new path opening up with it. And there may be a period of waiting here, but with the Queen of Coins coming out, I think you're going to be fine. Just make sure that, you slow down and you think about things clearly before you make any final decisions or sign anything. All right, Cap. So what I feel like is happening here is that this is your baby. This is important to you. You've been busting your ass working with this. This is where your happiness lies. And what's happening is that you've got something coming through that sounds really good. And again, it's tied into your happiness. This would make me emotionally fulfilled, especially with me busting my ass on this. But this is, what you've been working toward that makes you happy. And it's like something's changing within that. And there's a need for you to have strength, but not just that, but mental clarity on the decisions that you're making, especially if you're being offered to do something new with something that you have initially started and worked with. And again, it's long term here between the 8 and the 10 of Cups. This has been with you for a while. Now, I worry about the Ten of Wands, and the reason why I feel like a lot of you are going to get overwhelmed is, this may be one too much as far as changing, and doing new things with what you've been doing already, or it has to do with you being overwhelmed with waiting to see how things are going to happen with the Three of Wands coming out. But now your clarifiers for this, the Page of Swords doesn't feel bad. I just think that you need to be careful when it comes to, first of all, needing absolute clarity on anything that you are signing. That's one of the things that, I feel like is important here coming out on this, especially connected to the Three of Wands. Now, in terms of the Eight of Swords, you have to be careful about the mental trap, right? Especially if you're waiting to see how things are going to develop. You don't want to move forward with fear or be afraid to move forward or to stay stuck with something that, you're used to because you're afraid of, the new changes that may be happening, right? And I feel like you've acted toward it. When you're coming out with the Three of Wands, you're just waiting to see how everything is going to unfold. But you're fine. You're fine, right? You come out perfect here. But I do think that for some of you, you need to get a little bit grounded. Now, the beginning of change with what you've been working toward, but then there's also that need for you to go outside and get a little bit more grounded and get a little bit more in tune with who you are. But remember, life is too short. Life is too short not to be grateful for the people that come into your life, especially if they're bringing really good things, right? But life is too short not to take chances though either. And I'm not seeing you doing anything here that's going to lead out into a negative spot for you. Now, in terms of relationships, slow down, especially with what's happening here. Slow down and take the time to show your actions and how you love the person that you're with, right? Actions speak loudly. But Cap, I just think that, if you're dealing with something in terms of work and you're signing something new, just be careful and make sure you read all the fine print before you go ahead and decide to make any kind of final decisions or sign anything. Don't let fear grip you if you're not seeing things moving forward in a way that you want to see just yet, because I do think that truly coming out of this, you're going to be fine.